This is a question on coding-based simplification, you could call it. If minus stands for division, plus stands for multiplication, division stands for subtraction, and multiplication stands for addition, then which one of the following equations is correct? So we just have to simplify as per the Podmas rule and check which of them turns out to be equal, where is the LHS equal to the RHS. Okay. So in the very first one, if you look at this, substitute the required symbols. How would it turn out to be? This would be 6 into 20 times 12, which is divided by 12, which is going to be 10, minus 7, which would be 3. Okay, so is the first one equal to 38? No. Next, you just have to go on performing this Bodmer's process, and I think you will get the answer. 6 by 20, be careful here. This is going to be 0.3. So 6 by 20 is 0.3. The remaining part of the calculation will definitely ensure that you end up in a fraction. So I think you could stop here also. But this is going to be 7. And the net value would be a negative value because 7.3 minus 12 is going to be a minus 4.7. Okay, so that is also not equal to 57. Next. Now, when you have this, what will you do first? Again, you do the first 3 parts where you're dividing and then you're multiplying. So 6 into 20 by 12 is again going to be 10. Minus 7 plus 1 would result in a 4. Okay, what is given is 62. So that's wrong. Therefore, by default, what's the answer? Answer is option D. But still, let us have a look at it. Okay, so 12 7 is 84. Of course, divided by 1 will not impact the final this thing. 84 plus 6 is 90 minus 20 is going to be 70. Okay, so that's why the last answer here would be the answer option. So that's D. Answer is option D. This is a question on visual reasoning based on the concept of image formation, which is the mirror image that you have. So we know that mirror images are formed about the y-axis, so about a line which is vertical. Okay, so you have this axis here. Now we go on forming a mirror image by breaking this into components so that we understand it better. So this is the frame. First, if you look at the body, okay, this square shape, it will be reflected as it is. Then you look at the legs. Okay, so this one would be, this one would come to the right. This part of the foot would be towards the left. Okay, now you look at this hand, the right hand would come towards the left side here, and this the one towards the left would be reflected towards the right. So this is how the concept of mirror image works. And then the 2 circles representing the head and the other symbol here, so that would again go to the top right. Okay, which option figure does it match? A, B, C, D. Is A the answer? Not really, because this hand is folded. Is B the answer? No, because this foot, there's a problem in the positioning of the foot. Is the answer option C? No, because you clearly see that the sun has risen from the same place. Therefore, here, evidently, the answer is option B. Let's have a look at this question, friends. Now, evidently a question on number series. What kind of approach should one typically adopt when you solve such questions? Because if you have gone through the papers in the past years, I mean, particularly, in the year 2024, you will also have noticed a similar pattern of questions there as well. Okay, so I think 2 things primarily. First is the type of operation that you're supposed to perform, i.e., a single operation, as in only addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, or combined operation. Now, by and large, more often than not, in such questions, you will definitely encounter combination of operations. Okay, so either sum of products or sum of digits, and sum of the digits, sum of the numbers and the sum of their digits. So it's not just only one operation that's going to suffice, or product of difference. Okay, so these are the things that one should watch out for when you're solving such questions, because it is too easy for one to spot out everything in a single operation. So that's where you should start from. But then the next thing is combination of operations. Okay, so either a plus minus, plus and a multiplication and a difference. So these are things that you should be watching out for. And then in terms of how do you approach, looking at these numbers, okay, how do you go about viewing the numbers, either clockwise or anti-clockwise and diagonally opposite. So these are two distinct thought processes that we recommend students to follow when you're particularly approaching such questions, at least to give you a structure, lay a foundation on the basis of which you could, build further calculations or you could solve further. Okay, so single operation, combination of operations, which defines the type of operation, clockwise and diagonally opposite, defining the way in which you should proceed. Okay, now let's have a look at the very first frame here, which says 3, 4, 2, and 5. So if you look at it, 3 plus 4 is 7, 7 plus 2 is 9, 9 plus 5 is 14. Now, how does 14 relate with 12 inside? 14 minus 2 is 12. Well, you need to establish that pattern. So that becomes important. Okay. So just doing it for one frame here is not going to suffice. So 6 plus 2 is 8, plus 3 is 11, plus 5 is 16. Now 16 plus 2 is 18. So is the pattern established really? No. Now if you look at the product of operations, product of numbers, 3 4s are 12, 2s are 24 into 5 is 120. Now 120 by 10 is 12. Okay. Now 6 2s are 12, 12 3s are 36. 36 into 5 is 180. Now 180 again by 10 is 18. Therefore here a pattern is established, which is what? Which is the product of numbers by 10. So clockwise, combination of operations. Okay, so the product and then you have divided it by 10. Likewise, you can now definitely multiply this. 2 2s are 4, 9s are 36. 36 into 5 is again 180. 180 by 10 is going to give you 80. Okay, so A maps or matches with the fourth one in this list. Therefore, you can safely say that option A is eliminated. So is option B. What options are we left with now? C and D. Okay. Out of C and D, if you notice, evidently B has a common, element to which it is mapped in both the options, which is the third one. So for now, you could keep B aside. Out of C and D, you can choose one. Okay. Now, if you choose to go ahead with D, right, you will realize that 5 plus 4 is 9 plus 3 is 12 plus 7 is 19. Okay. So just doing the sum is not resulting in anything very, very conclusive. Okay, is not resulting in anything very conclusive. So this is how much? This is 19. 19 minus 6 is 30. How much does this add up to give you? 13 and 3, 16 plus 8 is 24. So 24 minus how much? This would be 24 minus 19. So is there any definite pattern here in the sum and the number at the center? No, not really. Even if you go ahead with the product, you will realize that this is 20 times 21. Okay, so which is 420. And this product is again something that will not help you establish a similar relation with the number at the center. Okay, so how much is this? This is 36 into 3, which is 108. And 108 into 8 is 864. So going clockwise here is not really working for us. Okay, so let us try to think about it diagonal. Let us try to think about it diagonal. Okay. Now 7, 4, 5, and 3. What can we make out from these numbers? Now 7 plus 4 is 11, 5 plus 3 is 8. But 11 and 8 would add up to give you 19. Okay. Difference of 11 and 8 is 3. We still don't get 13. Likewise, 8 and 4. Okay. 8 and 4 is 12. 9 and 3 is 12. So again, 12 plus 12 is 24. The difference there is 0. So is that giving you anything really consistent in terms of a pattern? No. Okay. Now what you should be thinking about is 7 4s are 28 and 5 3s are 15. Okay. So the difference between them here is 30. Sorry. 8 4s are 32. 9 3s are 27. The difference between the products is constant. Okay. So that is what we arrive at. So it's the difference of products. Again, diagonally opposite combined operations. Okay. So this is what it is resulting. So let us understand here, friends, that what we are trying to give you here is just a structure. Okay. It's just a foundation on which you can, work upon. But there could be students who will immediately be able to, figure it out that it's the difference of products. And in that case, it is absolutely okay to directly start from that step also. Okay. Yeah. So 8 threes are 24 and this product is 36. So 24 and 36, what's the difference? The difference is 12. Okay. So the difference is 12. Now we are very clear that D part from the first list will map with the second part from this second list. So therefore, evidently now the answer is option 4. Okay. But now just for the sake of our understanding, let us look at part B and part C. Okay. Now, out of them, if you look at part B, similarly, if you try to do sum of numbers along the circle, product of numbers, you will not get any predictable, consistent pattern. Okay. Now, if you look at the product of numbers here, 2 5s are 10 and 1 3s are 3. Okay. So 10 and 3 would be 13, which is the number at the center. Likewise, 1 5s are 5 and 3 4s are 12. Would be how much? Would give you 70. So this is rather simple, perhaps because of which these two options have a same pair with, with B, right? So therefore, what is, what is 4 6 are 24. So the logic here is sum of products. So 4 6 is 24. 1 5 is 5. So obviously B will map with the third element from this list. Okay. Now, if you look at the part C, again, going about it clockwise, either doing the sum or taking the product is not resulting in something very, very conclusive, is what you'll realize. Okay. Now, what you can therefore look at is, again, the diagonally opposite elements. So, take the difference here between 15 and 8. Take the difference between 10 and 8, which is 7 and 2. The product of differences here, okay, is going to be 40. Likewise, if you take the difference of 9 and 5, which is 4, and the difference of 8 and 6, which is 2, 4 times 2 is going to give you 8. So it's basically the product of differences. So that therefore, again, diagonally opposite, combined operation. Okay. Next, 6 and 4, the difference is 2. 11 and 8, the difference is 3. So 2 times 3, therefore, would be 6. So C would map with the first element from the second list. And therefore, the answer is option D.
Three statements are given below, followed by three conclusions numbered 1, 2, and 3. You have to take the given statement with true, even if they seem to be at variance from the commonly known facts, and then decide which of the given conclusions logically follow from the given statement. So our first statement says, all dolls are windows. So all dolls are windows. All bottles are windows. So see, bottles are windows are here, and all cars are bottles. So cars will be inside. So if we make a neat diagram, so this is windows. All the relationships because in the first three statements are with the dolls, with the windows. So all dolls are windows, all bottles are windows, and all cars are bottles. But we don't know whether doll and ball are interacting with each other at all or not. So it can be like this also. So we'll have to create possibilities. And there can be a complete overall, overlap between a doll and a ball. So now the car comes inside. So all cars are windows. Now all cars are windows is true in all the three possibilities. So yes, this part is true. Some cars are dolls. Now some cars are dolls is true here and here, but not in this situation. So unless it is true in all the possibilities, it becomes false. So this is false. Some windows are cars. Now, some windows as cars is true in all the situations. So, some windows as cars is true. So, making one and third conclusion true, which makes option C the right answer to this question. So, which makes option C the right answer to this question.
If you look at this question, again, a question on letter series, trying to figure out what this could be, what the following set of list could be. 7 stands for, G stands for 7, K is 11, N is 14, R is 18, place value of alphabets, plus 4, plus 3, plus 4. Okay. So next should be plus 3. Plus 3 is what? 21. 21 meaning U. Okay. So A clearly maps with the third one. Okay. And if you look at the second letter also, this is plus 3, plus 4, plus 3. So next should be plus 4. What is plus 4? 20 plus 4 is 24. 24 is X. Okay. So therefore, the following pair is going to be UX. Right. Now, once you figure that out, that A maps with the third one, you can very well eliminate option 1 and option 2 and only focus on 3 and 4. Okay. Now, out of 3 and 4, B is also similar. It's just a difference of C and D. So again, you could choose either of them. We have chosen to solve the fourth one here. Third one also, I think, can be easily figured out. This is AZ, GT, MN. If you look at these pairs, friends, firstly, their sum of place values is 27. Okay. So that is important. So they will come one below the other or one on top of the other. If you write alphabets horizontally, 13 each, 13 on the top and 13 just right below them. So from A to M, N to Z, if you write down alphabets this way, these are the pairs that would generally occur together. Okay. So 1 plus 6 is 7. Apart from that, is there any other pattern? Yes. 1 plus 6, 7. 7 plus 6 is 13. Okay. Now 13 plus 6 should obviously be 19. And once you get 19, what is the other number? It's the number that adds up with 19 to become 27. So 19 and 8 is 27. Okay. So therefore, SH would be first. So D maps with the first one. Okay. So therefore, what's the answer here? Answer is option D. That's it. Just for our own understanding, let us figure out what would be the solutions for B and C, though we already know the answer. Okay. So let's look at C first. So let's look at B first. So AI, BJ, CK. A is 1, B is 2, C is 3. Obviously should be followed by D. So this was also very, very simple. So B would map with the fourth one. DL, YL, because this is 9, 10, 11 and should be followed up with 12. Okay. Now, what about the next one? What about the next one? AZ, CX, FU. So A is 1, C is 3, F is 6. So 1 plus 2, 3, 3 plus 3, 6. 6 plus 4, 10. Okay. So J10. This is 26, 24, 21. So this is minus 2, minus 3, minus 4. So Q would be 17. Okay. So therefore, this completes the solution.
Which of the following statements are correct? Doctor is related to diagnosis in the same way as judge is related to court. So see, doctor's function is to diagnose, judge's function is to give a verdict, right? But not the court. Both of them are places, right? The person and the place. Diagnosis is not a place, so A is out. Bouquet is a bunch of flowers, so the group of flowers is called bouquet. In the same way, the group of words is called a sentence, so which makes B the right one. Thermometer is related to temperature. Correct. Correct. And next, same way, hygrometer is related to density, which makes no sense. That's wrong. Tree is related to sapling. In the same way, horse is related to foal. So the young one of the tree, the young plant is called a sapling. Horse is called a foal. So which makes option D the right answer to this question, because only the P and the D statements were correct.
This is a question on evidently on blood relations, right? No prizes for guessing that. Pointing to man in a photograph, a woman said, his brother's father is the only son of my grandfather. Let us try to interpret this. How is the woman, the question asks, related to the man in the photograph? Okay. So his brother, genders are known. Father, okay, so their father is the only son of my grandfather. Okay, so their grandfather's only son is their father. That we've got. We've got that. Now is the only son of my grandfather. So one of the possibilities could be that the person who's talking, the lady who's talking, could be his daughter. Okay, and therefore he would be her, grandfather. Okay, so that is one possibility that can exist. In that case, how is the woman related to the man in the photograph? She would be his sister. Okay, that is one possibility. What we could perhaps be missing out on in such cases is if all other things remain same. Okay, as in his brother's father is the only son of my grandfather. It could also be possible that this person that we were referring to as her father could be her uncle. How? She could be his sister's daughter also. That is possible. Okay, so my mother and her father, okay, would still be your grandfather. Okay, how are these related? These become siblings now. So therefore, this fellow who was her father in this case, in the first case, now is her uncle. So that is also possible. In that case, how is this lady related to the man in the photograph? These would be then cousins. Okay. Now, of course, is cousin present in the option? No. Therefore, you mark the answer as sister. An interesting question here on matrix arrangement or double lineup distribution. Okay. Now there's a slight problem with the question / ambiguity. We'll figure that out as we proceed to solve the question. Four people, 4 men are married with 4 girls and their names mentioned here. Sushma and Vimla are friends. Okay, now this bit is interesting. Sushma and Vimla are friends. Okay. Ved's wife does not like Sushma and Vimla. So what does that mean? It means that Sushma and Vimla, okay. First is Ved's wives are not Sushma and Vimla, correct? And the other thing is Kusum does not care for Ved. Kusum does not care for Ved, meaning the person who does not care for the other cannot form a couple. So that's the underlying assumption, without which solving this question is not possible. Okay, so therefore, from these two statements, we can figure out that Sushma, Vimla, or Kusum are not wives of Ved. So therefore, what is the only possibility that exists? It is Poonam. Okay, Prem's wife is friendly with Sushma. Prem's wife is friendly with Sushma. So, can Prem's wife herself be Sushma? No. Okay, so this is not possible. Sushma does not like Raj. When you say that Sushma does not like Raj, it essentially here means that Raj's wife cannot be Sushma. So where will you place Sushma here? It would be in the 4th block. So Ashok's wife is Sushma. Okay, we also know that Ved's wife does not like Sushma, but we know that Sushma and Vimla are friends. Okay, it was also given that Prem's wife is friendly with Sushma. So who would be Prem's wife here? It would be Vimla. Okay, and finally, what would the last place be filled by? It would be filled by Kusum. Now, can we read and interpret the statements? Yes, but that was the small assumption that one had to make, before you go ahead and solve this case. That okay. Raj's wife is Kusum. Yes. Sushma's husband is Ashok. Correct. Poonam's wife is Ved. Poonam is the wife. Poonam is wife of Ved. Yes, correct. So Poonam and Ved are a couple. Poonam is friendly with Vimla. Is that true? Not really. Okay, because Ved's wife does not like Sushma and Vimla. So Poonam is clearly not friendly with Vimla. So what's the answer to the question? The answer is option D, which is A, B, C only.
Arrange the following words alphabetically as in a dictionary. So all the words are starting with SA. The third alphabet is V and U. Now we know alphabetically that in the alphabetical order, U comes first. So clearly C will be the opening or the first word that will appear in dictionary. Now, rest of the three words, all of them have V, but one has a VA combination, one has VI, and one has VO. So clearly, VA will come first. So that makes V will be coming first, followed by VI, which is A, and followed by VO, which is D. So CBAD, which is option C. That becomes the right answer to this question. There is certain relationship between the two given words on one side of, and one word is given on the other side of is to. Another word is to be found from the given alternative having the same relationship with this word as the word of pair has. Genuine and authentic. Now, genuine and authentic both is a pair of synonyms. So we need to look for the synonym of mirage. Now, mirage means something that appears, but it is not. So reflection, no reflection is there. Ida, no. Illusion. Now, illusion is definitely something that that appears that it is there, but actually it is not. So which makes option C the right answer. Genuine is to authentic as mirage is to illusion. Option C becomes the right answer to this question.
Evidently, it is a rather simple question on cubes, though they have highlighted or provided four, positions. Do we require all the four of them to understand which one is opposite 3? Not really. Let us understand this. 4 different positions provided for a dice. Okay, if you look at the very first position, right, just to build perspective, if these are the 3 axes, okay, X, Y, and Z, and you try to rotate this first about the the YZ plane, right? So 3 comes on top, and then give it another rotation about the XZ plane. So you could obtain an image like this. Okay. So therefore, from here to here, the transition looks like this. Okay. So this is the transition. Now, once that is known to us, we realize that phase 3 is common here out of the two, positions provided, first and the last one. If phase 3 is common, the faces adjacent to phase 3 are 2, 6, 5, and 1, which can't be opposite the face. Okay. Of course, for a cube, if you want one face, to be opposite the other, it can't be adjacent to that face, right? So therefore, it is very evident from here that phase 4 is going to be opposite phase 3. So what's the answer? Option B, which is 4. A question on blood relations here. Okay, so let us understand this. 6 members in a family. C is the sister of F. Is F's gender known? No, not now. B is the brother of E's husband. B is the brother of E's husband. How would you represent this? B being the brother of E's husband. Okay, so E's husband meaning E is the female, right? D is the father of A and the grandfather of F. So basically, that is establishing 3 levels of a family. Okay, 3 generational family tree. Okay, so therefore, you could very well pull this from here to here now. So these form the 3 generations, right? D is the grandfather of F. So evidently, D is going to be the grandfather of C also. But do we stop here? No. There are 6 people in the family. If you notice, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 are known. E's husband should obviously be A. Okay. So you could very well place this part over this and call A as E's husband. Let us verify what we've done. There are 2 fathers, 3 brothers, and a mother in the family. Okay. So, of course, these 2 will be their children. 2 fathers, AD, okay, A and D. 3 brothers. Which are the 3 brothers? One is A, who is the brother of B. The other is B, who is A's brother. Which is the third brother here? Third brother here, friends, would be F. Okay. So this is what gives you F's gender. Okay, which is F is a male. And one mother in the family, which is evidently E. Can we now solve the question? Yes, we can. In the reference of the above information, which of the following are correct? E is the mother in the family. Absolutely. A is the husband of E. Yes. There are 4 male members in the family. 4 male members. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So D, A, B, F are the male members. F is the son of D. Is F the son of D? No. F is the grandson of D. Okay. F is the son of A and E. So what's the answer to the question? Option B, which is A, B, C only. That's the answer.
Choose the odd one out from the following. Now, wheat, pea, and mustard and rice. These three are particular type of crop, while rice is a different type of a crop. So, rice consumes more water, right? So, rest of them are rabi. This is the kharif crop. So, which is option D becomes the right answer to this question.
A question, a rather simple question on coding and decoding based on the concept of place values of letters. Okay. So, if roast is coded as PQYUR in a certain code language, what you must know is the place values. That is going to come in very, very handy. And we keep saying this in classes that even if you know place values of multiples of 5, which is 5, 10, 15, 20, and 25, that should suffice because all these alphabets are either slightly ahead or behind those multiples. So even if you know E, J, O, T, and Y, I think you're sorted, right? So 18, 16, 15, 17, 1, 25, 19, 21, and 20, 18. So at every odd place, you notice you're going 2 steps behind, 2 steps behind, and 2 steps behind. Mind you, from A to Y, you're going back Z and Y. Okay, from T to R, again 2 steps behind. At every even place, what is happening is you're moving 2 steps ahead. Okay, so 15 to 17, 19 to 21, and so on. So will this pattern continue in this word sloppy? Absolutely. So you've got 19, and from 19 you'll come back to 17. From 15 you come back to 30. From 16 you pull back to 14. So Q, M, and N would be the first, third, and the fifth place. L would become N, which is 12 to 40. 16 to 18, P becoming R, and Y would become A, which is 25 to 21. So 25, 26, 21. 25, 26, and 1. Okay, so what's the final answer? Q, N, M, R, N, A. So what would be the answer here? The answer would be option C. Arrange the following words in a meaningful sequence. Now, all of this relates to, a book, essentially. How do you create or how do you manufacture books, so to speak? So what's the source of all of this? The source of this is wood, okay, or pulp to be specific. So how does the sequence appear? You would have to go to a jungle, find timber, create pulp out of it, then generate paper, and combine papers to form a book. Okay, so this should be the sequence, right? So this would give you a meaningful sequence and a coherent sequence. So what would be the answer option here? The answer would be C. Okay, so first start with the jungle. Okay, go all the way up to a book. Okay, so that's the answer. A question on counting figures. Okay, total number of squares and rectangles in the following figure is. How will you do that? If you look at the central frame here and separate it out, this will have how many squares? Smaller squares. It will have 4 smaller squares and 1 larger, which is 5 squares in all. How many rectangles will this frame have? If you think, there are 2 rectangles, top, bottom, and 2 left and right. So therefore you've got 4 rectangles. So 5 plus 4 is 9, 9 elements in total, 5 squares and 4 rectangles. Now if you look at these 2 patches, okay, and just separate them and now count the number of squares first, you will see that there are 5 squares. Okay, why 5? Let us check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, so you notice that there are 6 squares that we counted, but if you check, the one at the center is double counted. So therefore you have to, drop it once. Therefore it is 6 minus 1, which is 5 squares. How many rectangles do you have? 6. So 3 per side. If you would like to visualize, this is how it would look like. 1, 2, and the third one. This is also a rectangle. Okay. So 3 per piece or 3 per part. So 3 times 2 is 6. Would there be any overlap here? No, not really. So 5 plus 6 is 11. 11 plus 9 would be 20 such squares and rectangles. Okay, that's the answer. A question here on direction sense, right? Let's read the question. A certain Mr. X starts walking towards east. Okay, important, east. After walking 75 meters, okay, he turns left. Now, when you're facing here, you're turning left. It means basically you're heading north. You're walking how many meters now? 25 meters. Okay, and you turn left again. So now when you're turning left, north, left. Okay, so this is going to again move towards west. Okay, so this would be moving, heading west. Right, so how many meters are you walking? 40 meters. Now you turn left once again. So now with respect to this position, turning left would mean going south. And how many meters going south? 25 meters heading south. Okay, so this is south 25 meters. Now, so you've got all the points here. How far is the person from the starting point? This length BC also would be 40 meters. And therefore, this distance AB is going to be 35 meters, which is the answer to the question.
Hospital, nurse, and patient. So C will depict, or the third one will depict the correct relationship. You find the patients in the hospital. All patients are found in hospital. All nurses are found in hospital. So we start with that. So A is 3 for sure. Now A is 3, I have 2 options. So we can eliminate the options. A is 3. We have 2 options with that. Polygon, quadrilateral, and rhombus. Now, all polygons are quadrilaterals or quadrilaterals are rhombuses. So B is definitely 4. So B is 4 is given in option D. But let's look at the other ones. Engine, piston, and V. So first one depicts the relationship, and D says that cloth, color, and merchant, which are not related at all. So no cloth is a color, no color is a merchant. So option D becomes the right answer to this question.
Evidently, the one on number series. 5824, 5424. Then, we need to find the missing term. 4247 and 3823. Evidently, by noticing these numbers, one can realize that I think a good starting point for us would be to note down the differences. But I think when you note down the differences and arrive at this step, this is where most of the students will kind of struggle or, take some time, because these numbers in themselves are not squares or cubes or, sum of squares and cubes, or sum of cubes, cubes plus some number, or square plus a particular number in common. Okay. So what you will eventually realize is that this difference, which is 582, is basically the first 3 digits from this 4-digit number. So basically 582 is here, right? So I hope you have realized this. So this is 582, because of which this is the difference. So taking the first 3 digits, subtracting them from the number, arriving at the new number. Now, is this pattern consistent here? Yes, it is. Okay, because 424 are the first 3 digits of 4247. Okay, and therefore, if you subtract 424 from here, right, what do you get? 3823. So can we say that the pattern has been established? Yes. Okay, now all we need to do is just to verify that by filling this space. So therefore, 524, okay, if you subtract 524 from 5242, what will you be left with? You will be left with 4708, okay, which should be your answer, right? But just a confirmation, 4718 from this number, if you subtract 471, will you be left with 4247? Absolutely. And therefore, you can definitely say that the answer to this question here is option B. So a question on visual reasoning, and that too particularly on image formation. What have they asked you? To find the water image of the figure. A very, very simple and a very straightforward question should be attempted. Okay. Now, if you look at this frame, and if you know already the concept of a water image, okay, which is something that forms with respect to the x-axis. So this is the x-axis here, and this is the frame. Now, just let us look at this element by element. So the very first element is this curve that we are trying to reflect. Okay, when this gets reflected in the x-axis, it looks this way, right? Therefore, clearly option A and I think option D are eliminated. What are you left with? B and C. Okay, so now the moment you know that this arrow with a dash would be reflected this way, it's very easy for us to mark, option C as the answer and proceed. That said, just let's have a look at how this element would appear, which is something like this. And therefore, the fact that answer is option C is confirmed. Okay, and that's the answer choice. Before checking the next question on cubes, let us look at a very simple example, a similar example of a 4 by 4 by 4 cube. The reason I've taken this example with 64 smaller cubes is that it just gives you a better understanding of the concepts that are involved, which we would apply in the subsequent example on a 3 by 3 by 3 cube. Okay. Now, typically any n by n by n cube will have 3 face painted cubes only at the corners. Okay. So how many corners do you have? You've got 8 corners, and per corner you've got 3 face painted cubes. So 1, 2, and 3. So these are the 3 faces painted. So basically, how many cubes? You'll always find 8 cubes. Okay. So therefore, the number of 3 face painted cubes is going to be 8. Now, if you try to analyze and understand the number of 2 face painted cubes, where will you find 2 face painted cubes, friends? They would be at the edges. Okay. That's why I've taken this 4 by 4 by 4 example for us to better understand, this concept. So number of edges would be 12. And per edge, there would be only 2 faces where, you would have a cube with 2 faces painted. Okay, now let's understand this. This is 24 for the 4 by 4 by 4 cube. But if you just try to have a look at it, 1, 2. So you don't count this one at the top because that would result in double counting. AB, again 2 cubes, 1, 2, and 1 and 2. Okay, so these are essentially the cubes with only 2 faces painted. Now, so therefore, what's the formula or what's the generalized, expression? 12 times n minus 2. Okay, so if you substitute n as 4 here, 4 minus 2 is 2. 12 times 2 is 24. Now, let us understand the number of one face painted cubes, which is the number of faces times the number of one face painted. Now, where is it that you're going to find cubes with only one face painted? The ones right at the center. Okay, the ones excluding the boundary. Okay, you could put it either way. Now, so 6 faces, and per face you've got 4 one face painted cubes. So 6 fours is 24. Okay, so where is this? Where does this thing fit in? Let us observe. Yeah, so it just fits in absolutely perfectly right at the center. Okay, so therefore this becomes the place where you will have cubes having one face painted. So what's the generalized representation? 6 times n minus 2 square. 6 times n minus 2 square. Okay, so therefore if n is 2, n is 4, 4 minus 2 is 2. Okay, so 2 square is 4. 4 times 6 is 24. And obviously, what is the number of cubes with no face painted? If you just add this up, 24, 24, 48 and 8 is 56. Therefore, the difference here is going to be 8. 64 and 56 would differ by 8. Okay, is there a generalized expression through which you could find it for any n by n cube? Yes, it is going to be n minus 2 times 2 raised to the power 3. Okay, so if you substitute n as 4 here, 4 minus 2 is 2. 2 cube is 8. So therefore, you will have 8 cubes sitting right at the center. If you just open this cube, which will have no faces painted. Now let us have a look at the example. So you have a cube which is painted yellow on all faces, and it is cut into 27 small cubes of equal size. Okay, so 27 small cubes of equal size, meaning it's a 3 by 3 by 3 kind of a setup. Okay, so 3 by 3 by 3 cube. Which of the following would be correct? Now, if it's a 3 by 3 by 3 cube, okay, let us first find out these values. Number of cubes with 3 faces painted, it's going to be 8. Number of cubes with 2 faces painted would be 12 times 3 minus 2, which is 12. Number of cubes with 1 face painted is going to be 6 times 3 minus 2 square, which is going to be 6. And number of cubes with no face painted is going to be 1, which is again would be at the right at the center. So 3 minus 2 is 1. 1's cube is going to be 1. Now I think answering the question is absolutely easy. So option 1, 6 cubes painted on 1 face only. Okay, so what's that? That is absolutely true. Look at the second option. There's only 1 cube which is not painted on any face, which is also true. Okay. Now, if you look at the third option, that's where there is a problem. There are 6 cubes, it says, with 2 faces painted. Okay, 2 face painted cubes here are 12. Okay, so that's where you need to be careful. So the third option is not really correct here. What about the fourth one? There are 8 cubes which have 3 faces painted. So 3 face painted cubes are 8. And I think that completes your set of options here, or the set of statements. So therefore, what is the answer option? The answer option is option C, which is A, B, and D only. Next up is a question again on visual reasoning, that too finding the subsequent frame in the given series of frames available. So now, is there any pattern again? We try to spot a pattern. From the first to the second frame, if you notice, all other elements are same, barring the first one. Let's call this, let's number this for our sake. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So the very first element has inverted. Okay, it has flipped, or you could say that you have taken a mirror image of this element. Right? From the second to the third frame, it's the second element which has flipped, or you have taken the mirror image of it. Okay. From the second to the third frame, obviously all other elements remaining same. Okay, from the third to the fourth frame now, what you notice is the third element flipping. And from the fourth to the fifth frame, it is the fourth element which flips. Okay, so therefore from this to the next frame, all elements ideally, these are already flipped. This element now should flip. And therefore, what is the logic here? That in every successive frame, one element is inverted sequentially. By inverted, we mean obviously reflecting it about the vertical or taking the mirror image. Okay, so therefore, what would be the answer option here? Clearly, when you notice that all 4 need to be same, okay, at the same place and the same orientation, it's this fifth element that gets inverted. Okay, so therefore, what's the answer option? Answer is option B. Notice that this is a question on circular arrangement, which is very evident here. 7 people are seated around a circle and are facing the center. All right, so we've drawn 7 people seated around a circle facing the center. G is second to the left of C. You could start plotting from here. Okay, G is second to the left of C. So if C is placed here, second to the left, this would be G. Okay. Who is to the immediate left of F? Who is to the immediate left of F, meaning C is to the immediate left of F. So if C is to the immediate left of F, we could also say equivalently that F is to the immediate right of C. So if F is to the immediate right of C, it means you will place F here. Okay. Now, These two statements are interesting. A is third to the left of E, he says, and B is between D and E. Okay. So now for B to be between D and E, it means there are three consecutive places reserved for BDE. Now on this frame, or in this frame, if you notice, 1, 2, 3 seem to be the only three consecutive frames which are empty. Rest, no three consecutive frames are empty. Okay, if you look at this 1, 2, 3, this is reserved for G. 1, 2, 3, this is reserved for G and C. So you'll not find any other such place where three places are unreserved. Okay, so you should have three places vacant where you can place D, B, and E. Specifically, if B is between D and E, right, out of these three, where will you place B then? Logically, B should come here. Okay, so logically, this should be the place for B. Now, to decide the places of D and E would be rather easy, because you need to make use of this statement. A is third to the left of E. Okay, so if you place E here, right, 1, 2, and 3, A would come here. Is that possible? No, because this place is already occupied by F. So what does that mean? It means that E has to be placed here, to the immediate left of B. Therefore, who will be to the immediate right? It has to be D. And therefore, this place now, adjacent to C or to the immediate left of C, would be occupied by A. Now, what's the question? Who is sitting to the immediate right of G? Immediate right of G, what's the answer? Answer is A. Next up is a question on Venn diagram. In the following diagram, we've just drawn an enlarged version for us to view this better and to represent it better. In the following diagram, the circle represents businessman. So this is a circle representing businessman, a very, very straightforward question, orally solvable. Square represents dancers. So these are the dancers. Triangle represents musicians. So these would be musicians. And rectangle represents Indians. Okay. Now, who among the following is neither a dancer nor a musician? So you don't want a dancer, you don't want a musician. You're only left with 11 and 10. But is a businessman and not an Indian. So if it's not an Indian, so even 11 is ruled out. Therefore, what's the only number that you have? It's only businessman that they are asking. Okay. So not dancer, not musician, not Indian, but businessman, meaning the region which is occupied only by business. So this is number 10, which is option D. This is an interesting question on clocks, okay, gaining and losing time. If you notice the trend of questions that have been asked in JIPMAT 2024, you will also find a similar question in the past year questions playlist in the 2024 JIPMAT based LRDI set of questions. So you could check that out. Coming back to this question, this one is on the concept of clocks gaining and losing time. So let us understand this through, let us try to visualize this to be able to understand. So you've got three clocks here. One is the normal one. The other is the clock that is slow. And the other clock is fast. Now what we'll notice is over two revolutions of the normal clock, okay, over two rotations or two revolutions of the normal clock, what is the impact on the clock which is towards the left and the one towards the right? So just watch this. By the time the normal clock completes one rotation, the right one completes two. And by the time the normal clock rotates twice, the right one is rotating 4 times. So it is doing 4 revolutions, while the one towards the left is only doing 1. What does that mean? That this clock is slow, obviously, but by a minute. And this clock is fast by 2 minutes, which is exactly the scenario which is presented in the question. A watch is 1 minute slow at 1 p.m. on Tuesday. So this is Tuesday, 1 p.m. And 2 minutes fast at 1 p.m. on Thursday. This is Thursday, 1 p.m. What is the time that is elapsed? Of course, it is going to be 2 days, which is 48 hours. When did it show the correct time? Okay. So basically, from this point to this one, has it lost or gained time? It was slow by a minute, and now it is fast by 2 minutes. So basically, it has gained time. Okay. How much is the gain? The gain would obviously be 3 minutes. Okay. So -1 to +2 on a linear scale. How much have you traveled? You have traveled 3 units. So basically, you have gained 3 minutes. Okay. So this 3 minutes gain is happening in how much time? It is happening in 48 hours. So for the clock to show the correct time, so assume a linear scale, you are at -1, 0, 1, and 2. Okay. So from -1 to 2 is a distance of 3 units. So now you need to show correct time means you need to shift from -1 to 0. To be able to show normal time, it has to gain a minute. For that, it will take 16 hours. 16 hours from Tuesday, 1 p.m. would mean Wednesday, 1 a.m., which is 12 hours, plus 4 hours after 1, which would be 5 a.m. on Wednesday, where it would show the correct time. Okay. So the normal time would be Wednesday, 5 a.m., which is 16 hours. That is, the required time. Okay. So what's the answer? The answer is option D. This is evidently a question based on coding and decoding, right? The word driver is coded as 12, pedestrian is coded as 20, accident is coded as 16. What is it that you observe in common to all these words and their codes? Notice driver is a 6-letter word, coded as 12. Pedestrian is a 10-letter word. Pedestrian is a 10-letter word. Accident is a 8-letter word. So it's basically the number of letters times 2. Okay. So it's going to be double the number of letters. So this is the logic embedded in the question. Okay. Or in all these codes. So what is the logic? Number of letters times 2. So car therefore has 3 letters and therefore it will be coded as 3 times 2, which is 6. So what's the answer? Answer is option B. Now we have a question on data interpretation. First, let us understand the question. Let us understand the graph so as to be able to correctly comprehend values. It says total number of students who appeared and qualified for various cities from various cities at a management entrance. So it is qualified, which is the which is the appeared. This graph represents, or this bar graph represents the people who have appeared, and this there is a index here which is provided for our reference. These lines represent people who have qualified. Okay, so the one which is vacant or white is representing appeared candidates. The one which is dotted or the slanting lines are represent the candidates who are qualified. Okay, so just to give you an example, from Ahmedabad, number of students who have appeared are 3,000. The number of students who have qualified are 1,750. Okay, too many lines that have been drawn to give you exact numbers. So just be careful when you're reading them. Okay, so what's the very first question related to this? What is the difference between the average number of students who have appeared from all cities and the average number of students who have qualified from all cities together? Okay, so let's have a look at this. Concept is obviously a bar graph based on questions based on arithmetic. So percentage, average, so the basic concepts have been tested here. Now, if you look at this graph, or if you look at the data here, how would you answer this question? Either you would add up all these. So just let us take these two examples. Okay, Ahmedabad and Bangalore. If we want to find the difference between these, the average of people who have appeared versus those who have qualified, either you could add these two, divide by 2, add these two, divide by 2, and then take the difference. Or simply first take the difference, add the difference, and then divide it by 2. Okay, I repeat, instead of adding them, dividing them by 2, adding these two, dividing them by 2, and then taking the difference, what you do is you first take the difference, add all the differences, and take the average of the difference, which is what we say which is what we mean when we say that the difference of averages is equal to the average of the differences. Okay, so that helps you save on the time that you require for adding all of this separately. So what you take is the difference right away, 3000 minus 1750. Just ensure that it should be appeared minus qualified everywhere. Otherwise, you'll go wrong in calculating the values in terms of the signs that you get. So it's always going to be appeared minus qualified. So 3000 minus 1750 is 1250, 1000, 1000, 500, and 1000. So these are the differences. Okay, now let us solve this further. When you know that these are the differences, all you got to do is to add all of this up. How much is this? 3000, 4250, and 500, which is 4750. 4750 divided by 5 is obviously 950, which is the answer to the question. A similar question on the same chart, DI-based chart. The number of students who appeared for the exam from Delhi is approximately what percent of the number of students who appeared for the exam from all cities together. Okay. So now what have you got to do here? Those who have appeared from Delhi to those who have appeared from all the cities together. Okay. So how will you count those? These are the ones, right? So just let us count them first. You see that these are 3000s appearing twice. So 3000 into 2 is 6000. This is 3250 and this is 2250. Okay, so 3250 and 2250 would be how much? 5500. Okay, so these two will add up to give you 5500. This value here for Delhi itself is how much? It is 2500. So what is 5500 plus 2500? That is 8000. Initially, these two had added up to give you 6000. So 6000 plus 8000 is going to be 14,000. So therefore, appeared from Delhi to total appeared would be 2500 upon 14,000 into 100. What will this simplify to give you? 250 by 14. 14 ones are 40. Okay. You're left with 11. So 110. 110, 112 is the next multiple of 14, which is roughly 8 times. So therefore, this number is approximately 18%. Okay. Exactly somewhere between 17.89, that's the value we have. But if you look at it approximately, which is what is asked also, approximately what percent, the answer would be option B. The average number of students who qualified in the exam from Kolkata and Delhi is what percent of the average number of students who appeared from the same cities, rounded off to 2 digits after the decimal. Okay. Now, Kolkata and Delhi, how many people have qualified? If you look at it, 2250 and 2000, which is 4250. Okay. These are the people who are qualified. And what is the number of students who have appeared? The number of students who have appeared is 3250 and 2250. Okay, which is, 3250 and 2500, which is how much? 5750. Now, 4250 upon 2 divided by 5750 upon 2 in 200. So that is what is asked. Now, do you really need to divide this by 2? Not really. If you just cancel the 2, cancel the 0, you're left with 425 upon 575. Okay, so now 425 upon 575 can easily be cancelled by 25. You could do it step by step by 5 and then another 5, or directly cancel it by 25. So 25 ones are, you're left with 70, 175, 25 into 7. This is 25 twos are and 3s are. So 25 into 23 and 25 into 70. Now, what is 17 into 100 by 23? It is going to be 1700 by 23. Now, in the table of 23, if you notice, 23 sevens are 161. Okay, so 161, again, the remainder is what? The remainder is 9, so 90. 23 fours is 92. Again, a step ahead of, 2 steps ahead of 90. So therefore, this value is going to be roughly 74%. But if you look at a close approximate number, it is going to be 73.91, which is the answer to the question. Next up is a question on pie chart. Okay, let us understand this. Degree-wise breakup of expenditure of a family in a month. The total amount spent is 45,800. Remember, these values are not percentages, these values are degrees. Okay, so this is investment, entertainment, medical expenses, all the way up to transportation. What is the ratio of the amount spent by the family on medical expenses to the amount spent on groceries? Be careful, I repeat, this is degrees and not percentages. So, evidently a question on a pie chart based, computations or calculations. So, medical to groceries. Okay, so what is medical accounting for? 39.6 degrees out of 360 multiplied by the total. Okay, what is the total? 45,800. Again, groceries here would be accounting for 82.8 degrees out of the 360 degrees multiplied by the total. So this is the fraction into the total. Okay, so total by 360 is common in the numerator and denominator. So essentially, what is the ratio that we are looking at? 39.6 upon 82.8 or 396 upon 828. If you have observed this carefully, this number 396, you'll realize that it is divisible by 36 11 times. If you try to divide 828 by 36, 36 2s are 72. Okay, 108. So 36 3s are. So this is also divisible by 36. So 36 as a common factor gets cancelled. So what are you left with? 11 by 23 is the answer. So what's the answer here? Answer is option D. On the similar lines from the previous question on pie chart, we have been asked the total amount spent by the family on entertainment and loan EMI together. Now, what is interesting here is, as we know that these values are in degrees, entertainment constitutes 36 degrees, which is 10%. EMI constitutes 68.4 degrees. Can we convert this to percentage? Okay, that's something that we need to think about. If 360 degrees is 100%, we know that 36 degrees is 10%, 72 degrees is 20%, and 3.6 degrees is 1%. Okay, now if you just closely look at these two numbers, if you subtract 72 or 3.6 from 72, what do you get? You get 68.4. Okay, so essentially this is 19% of the entire pie. Okay, so basically we have now successfully converted the degrees into percentages. Loan EMI constitutes 19%. Entertainment constitutes 36%. Okay, so 36 degrees, which is 10%. I'm sorry. Now, so total for entertainment, total for loan is going to be 29% of the overall total. So what is 29% of this total? This number is 45800. So 45,800. If you observe this carefully, friends, are you really required here to calculate the exact value? No, not really, because this will boil down to give you, to cancel out to give you 29 times 458. Now 9 times 8 has a unit digit 2. Is there an option like none of these? No. And there's only one option which ends with 2. Okay. So therefore, 13,282 has to be the answer. Okay. But still, if one wants to go ahead and calculate, you could do that. For 458 times 30 would be 13,740, which is also one of the options, minus 458, which would have, invariably result in 13,282, which is the answer. So option B is the answer. Total number of faculties in different departments of an institute and percentage of males and females. So this is the last bit of questions on data interpretation in the DILR section on JIPMAT. Now, what are you given? You're given 6 departments, total number of faculties, and the percentage of males and percentage of females. Okay. Now let us answer the questions that follow. What is the ratio of the number of females in physics department? So physics department females, which is 23%, to the number of females in the management department, 44% of 450. So basically, this is what we've been asked. So a simple, straightforward set on table-based questions related to ratios and percentages and basic arithmetic. Now, this is physics, this is management, right? What is the ratio? 23% of 900, 44% of 450. Percentages get cancelled. You'll notice that 450 once, 450 twice will cancel 900. So this becomes 2 is to 44 into 23. So 2 is to 44 is 1 is to 22. So what's the final answer here? The answer is 23 is to 22, which is option C. This brings us to the end of the last question in the DILR section on JIPMAT. So we've seen a variety of questions, some on cubes, a question on clocks previously, a couple of questions on visual reasoning. So, just goes to show that having command over diverse areas or being versatile will help you to be in a position of choice. So it's very important not to skip chapters from reasoning or from QA and just stick to a few selected chapters. What that will do is that will not give you the ability to choose questions, and that comfort that is much needed in solving varied kind of questions. So we saw a question on image formation, we saw a question on water image, we saw a question on mirror image. We saw a lot of questions there. We initially saw some questions on a letter series, on number series. So it was a mixed bag, so to speak. So what one should do is one should practice all these areas adequately so that you can select and choose questions as per their level of difficulty and your comfort and your convenience. Okay. Now, what is the total number of males in computer science, maths, and chemistry departments together? So again, a very straightforward calculation. Males in computer science is what percentage? 55% of 840. So what is 55% of 840? How do you do this orally? 55% is half, which is 420, plus 5% is 42. So 420 plus 42 would be 462. Okay. Next, you've got maths. So for maths, how would you do 65%? 65% of 220, simple. 5% is 11. You set that aside. 60% is 132. Okay. So 132 plus 11 is going to be 143. Okay. So if you practice things this way, I'm sure you'll be able to reduce the rough work that is required for most of the students for such questions also. Okay. So you could do it virtually orally. Next, a number of males in chemistry. So males for chemistry is 360s, 35%. Okay. So it is 35% of 360. What is 30% of 360? 108, because it is 36 into 3. So in fact, I would go a step ahead to urge all of you to know tables of 36 also, which is something that I usually discuss in classes. So knowing tables of 36 all the way up to 10 times or 12 times, which is 432, would help you enormously in such questions on tables, or at times particularly on pie charts or bar graphs, pie charts mostly. That is where, the tables of 36 or multiples of 36 will be very, very helpful. So 36, 35%, 360 is 35%, 30% is 108, okay? 5% is 18, so 108 plus 18 is going to be 170, 126. You could also compute 70% of 360, double half. 70% is going to be 252. Half of that is going to be 126. All right. So we've already done the calculations. So this one is 462. This should be 143. And this should be 126. Now 460, 140 is going to be 600. 600 plus 120 is going to be 720. And these unit digits add up to give you 11, which is 731. Even otherwise, if you just add the unit digits here, you will simply get the desired answer, because 731 is the only number which ends with 1, and there is no other option like none of these. So what's the answer to the question? Option B. Thank you.